We continue live right here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Paul Zeise with you. We have a tweet from Jeremy Hillman who says Jari showed why he should be the number one goalie going forward last night. Hashtag fan cave. Thanks, Jeremy. Again, I think it's just a work in progress, and I don't think there's any reason for Mike Sullivan to change what he's doing. I would come home. They got 4 games, and their big game's coming up. I would go, it's Tampa again, so you're probably going to go back to Murray. Then after that, it's Montreal, and I think Jari would like to play in that game. Just because. After that, it's a game against Detroit. Go back to, you could just alternate. I don't know if he wants to do that. Or I mean, if someone has a bad night, that someone may cost himself a couple of starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, you got to just go with who's hot and who's playing well. And the other part of it is, he played really well last night, but we've seen over the last month that, Matt Murray has actually started to play really well too. I don't know that you have a number one goaltender. I think you just, whoever is really playing well, maybe you ride them or you alternate them or whatever you do. But, this is going to be something, I think it's going to be an interesting decision. And it wouldn't shock me, like you said, if one playoff series you use one guy and another playoff series you use a different guy, depending on who the matchup is.
All right, beyond that, it's a trade deadline, which is 15 days away, and Jim Rutherford has always been one of those guys to make deals, especially if he can do it maybe even before the deadline. He's made some big ones. He's made some that have not panned out, like the Broussard one, but he then changed that into people who've come in and been useful for him. So the question, Paul, would be, what do you think they need most, and how much would they be willing to give up to get it?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about it. I guess that's a teaser for the.
It's a tease for the showdown.
Teaser for
number
the
one
showdown.
Conference Sports Showdown, 11:35.
But I mean, they obviously need. I think they need somebody that can help, that can actually score goals. A wing for the top 2 positions. From the top 2 lines, they need. What do they call it? A top 6 wing is what they need. Someone that can score goals. And as far as giving things up, to me, you are trying to win. And, I know the Pirates are the ones that sort of set this whole you can't mortgage the future, idea in motion maybe 10 years ago. But every year the Penguins, it seems like they for a while they're traded away picks and traded away young guys. And guess what? Every year when they needed to go get picks and young guys to trade, they seem to have them. So, to me, you worry about tomorrow. You worry about today.
Especially when you have these guys, like Letang, Crosby, Malkin. You want to build for now. If they can win, they'll gladly give up a number 1 pick. I know Jim Rutherford doesn't want to do that. Pirates, on the other hand, there are no restrictions. This is a salary cap league hockey, just like football. In baseball, it's not that way, so you can do pretty much anything you want.
Right.
Now, it's up to the owner who's willing to spend or not spend. And again, that always is a controversial topic around here, and rightfully so, because he's not been willing to pony up when the time has come. We'll see if they do it under a new regime. They open up tomorrow. Rich Walsh will be there starting Wednesday to report for us in the sunshine. But I don't know what your original thoughts are here when it comes to them. A lot of people are pessimistic about them. Most people look at 68 wins, which would be a last-place finish, no doubt. Now, having said that, Derek Shelton was the bench coach of Minnesota last year. The preseason prediction for them was 77 wins, and they ended up with 101.
Yeah.
But they also made some moves along the way.
I don't see them doing that, and I'll tell you why. They don't really have a catcher, right?
No.
They don't have a center fielder, although we keep hearing, they're going to go out and get some Kevin Pillar type. I guess Gregory Polanco could surprise everybody and stay healthy for 150 games and, hit, 35, 40 home runs. But are we really going to rely on that? I mean,
how about if he does?
That probably changes some things. But it's hard to rely on that. And the other part of it is the pitching staff, to me, I don't even know if they have a number 2, much less a number 1. Like, legitimately,
They have to hope all those guys have really good bounce back.
And let's not forget that, the guy that came in at the end of games and was like, basically, if you're winning in the 9th or going into the 9th, it's over. They don't have that guy this year. So
no, he's in jail.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario. So many guys would have to way overachieve for this team to do that, win 85 games or something that – it just seems like it's not even really something that's feasible.
All right, let's also talk about college basketball. There was an interesting game yesterday. I know it got your dander up a little bit, how Duke and North Carolina ended up. For those who didn't see that game, North Carolina blew a 13-point lead with 4 minutes left, and you said it was a 5-point lead with 16 seconds left.
96-91, and they're winning with 20 seconds left in overtime. Duke scores with like 15, 14 seconds left. You're still up 3, and you have the ball. They turned it over. Then they got the brilliant idea, let's foul so we're not going to give up a 3. The guy made the first, and then missed the second on purpose.
To try to get it.
They got the rebound. They scored. North Carolina gets the ball back again, turns it over again, and Duke wins at the buzzer.
Yeah, so
I mean, just by it's just the stupidest thing I've ever
Carolina
seen.
Game.
And at the end of regulation, there's 3.9 seconds left, and they're at the line. Duke is. They're down 2. The kid misses the first one, so now he's got to miss the second one on purpose. He misses the second one on purpose, and they got it that time, too. He got it, and the shooter actually had enough time to go recover the ball, take 2 dribbles, and hit a jump shot to tie the game at the buzzer. They couldn't have tried to lose that game and done a better job than what they did.
And as a coach of his girls' team, you probably were fundamentally saying, what in the world are they doing over there? All right, let's go out to the lines. We've got Frank on line 1. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Hey, Bob, how you doing today?
What's up?
You were talking about the Pens, and my concern. One thing I wanted to see if you guys could talk about is, St. Louis won it all last year with 4 lines, and I'm just a little concerned we're paying a guy $5 million on the 4th line with no help, and I just think really they need to address that before they go on anywhere else.
Yeah, he got like 3 minutes last night. That was it. He's talking about Alex Galchenyuk. They've been essentially a 3-line team for the past few games because they're not willing to give those minutes up to that line with Lafferty, Agostino, and Galchenyuk, who's really kind of in no man's land right now.
Yeah, and I think at some point they're going to have to, though. You can't, you need the strength of them when they've gone through their cup runs has been having 4 lines. So they got to kind of figure out what they have, I think, right? I mean, that's
yeah, they do, but they need Bukestad back because
right.
I think he's more of a legitimate center than some of the guys they have out there. And you may not like him totally. You may think but he has experience and he's done a pretty good job.
Right. So. I mean, but again, they need to figure this out here before the playoffs,
yeah. Wow.
And I think they will. But right now they're trying to win games. You know what I mean? They're putting the guys on the ice for the most of the ice time.
As long as you don't have a lot of back-to-back games, you can do that.
Right. Exactly. I mean, they got to win games, and they're trying to do it. And all these games they play seem to be pretty tight. So.
All right, back to basketball real quick, and that would be Pitt and Duquesne. Very good seasons. I mean, they've come a long way under Keith Dambrot and Jeff Capel. The question would be, which of those 2 teams has a better chance of getting to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I don't think either one of them can be an at-large team. So
they're going to have to earn it in by winning.
You've got to win your conference tournament, and if that's the case, to me, Duquesne probably has a little easier ride. Although Dayton is really, Dayton's a team that could get to the Final Four. They are really, really a good team.
Duquesne almost beat them, too.
Yeah. If someone could knock Dayton out of the way, I mean, there's not another team in the Atlantic 10 that you say, well, Duquesne can't beat them. I think Duquesne could beat Dayton, but they'd have to play extremely well. But every other team, I mean, yesterday they lost to St. Bonaventure, but every other team in the Atlantic 10, St. Louis, they proved they could beat them. I mean, you go through the list. I like their chances of winning that tournament, although I don't think they will, better than Pitt. Even though the ACC is down, they'd still have to go through a pretty tough gauntlet of teams to win, to win the ACC tournament. So if you ask me, I think Duquesne's road is a little more realistic.
Meanwhile, Penn State and West Virginia both will get in, I think. West Virginia could be as high as the number 2 seed. They got a big game coming up against Kansas, and then on Saturday they go to Baylor.
Yeah.
You talk about improving your RPI and everything else that comes with it. 2 wins there would be huge.
If they win both of those games, to me, I mean, that probably solidifies them as a 2 seed. And I said this before. I think Penn State is a 4 or 5 seed right now. Mm-hmm. Boy, if they're a 4 or 5 seed and you're the 1 seed in that region, you do not want to see Penn State. I mean, I don't know if you've watched them a lot.
Oh, a lot.
They are really good, and they are tough, and they get after it.
They shoot threes.
And when they get hot, they could turn your lights out quickly. I mean, to me, they won at Michigan State the other night. They're a kind of team, if they're a 4 or 5 seed, if you're a 1 seed, especially now with all the parity, you don't want to see them in the second game of the, you know what I mean?
They beat Wisconsin recently. They got a good team. Lamar Stevens leads the way there, and he's a veteran guy who's been around, and he knows how to win games, it looks like to me. We got to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook. We're coming right back.